Good
Good
morning,
morning.
everyone. Welcome back to the Dark Roast. We did take last week off, but here we are again. So, any rate, today's big conversation is going to be about analytics. This is
Yes,
Rose's favorite topic.
it
And so
is.
today, the beautiful Rose Short and I will be discussing about breaking down your analytics and how you can measure your success and also when to pivot. So there you
Yes.
go.
Yeah, we've talked about pivoting before, and it's so crucial because so often, uh, especially when we start building a business that we're really passionate about, we can get really lost in the emotion of it versus the data of it. And so it's super important that we understand how to make data driven decisions, not emotionally driven decisions.
Yeah, because we're emotional creatures, right? And
Speak for
we get
yourself.
excited about something or we think it's awesome, but then, it doesn't really go that way, or we're passionate about how something's working, but the data is showing us that it's not the case.
What we are going to talk about is how to interpret your data, how to know when it's time to switch, and of course, just key things to track in general. So, when it comes
Right.
to affiliate and digital marketing, it's way more than just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping it sticks, right? Like, so many times you see people just sign up for all kinds of affiliate programs and they're just putting their links everywhere. And it's just chaos and it's messy and it's off putting. So, what affiliate and digital marketing is actually about is strategic content, sharing true experiences, and then tracking, tweaking, and growing that way. So, not guessing, using data.
Yeah, because you're when you really pay attention to your analytics, it gives you some clarity on who your audience is, what's actually important to them, because as much as you want to build this up for yourself, you're doing it for your audience, right? Like if they're not interested, then you're selling to the wrong people, right? So do you need to change
Exactly.
your audience? Do you need to change your tactics? Do you need to change what you're selling? Like, that's where your analytics are going to help you. And it's also going to help you if you're putting money into this, right? You're spending money. You want your ROI to make sense.
Yeah.
Because if you're just outputting all the time, but you're not gaining any traction, or you're not getting any focus, or you're still not building that audience, or they're not trusting you, your analytics will help you narrow that down and figure out why that's happening, instead of just, well, that didn't work, so I'm trying this, and that didn't work, so I'm trying this. At least if you're paying attention, you can really see, like, maybe you thought you were talking to 50-year-olds and really you're talking to 30-year-olds, and it's not actually happening for you.
Yep. And this is true for if you're trying to build out your organic marketing, if you're trying to build out the performance bonuses on different platforms, right? Like analyzing everything is going to be really beneficial. And one of the main things you're going to want to analyze is your clicks. So this is especially true if you're running ads. But also if you're doing like live product reveals or unboxings, things like that. Are people actually clicking your links? Are they actually interested? And on the videos or articles or whatever it is where they are clicking, or ads, look at those really critically and be like, okay, well, what is enticing them to click, and what is better on this one versus this one, and then you can tailor your evergreen and just overall content to fit what is working.
Well, yeah, because your hooks are not going to be necessarily your hooks are what's pulling them in, but to get them to click that link, right? So you might have the exact same content, but you're just changing one little thing. And that's
Mhm.
part of the analytics and doing the testing, is you're not changing everything, because then how do you know, right?
Yep.
And clicks are awesome, but then you also have to look at your conversion rate, right?
Yep.
So maybe they're clicking it, but then it dies. Right. And so now your next thing is, why is it dying? Now, do I need to make some changes to my sales page or my download page, or, that sort of stuff? is my audience not the right audience for this product? They're curious enough to click it, but they're not curious enough to buy it. Maybe there's some issues there, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you want to make sure that you're not just tracking clicks, you're also, you're not just doing your vanity metrics, but you're also doing your conversion metrics and following through on that and seeing how that process goes. And like you use something where it actually shows you if they're going to your funnel or your website where
Yeah,
they're
yep,
pitching.
yeah. And like how long they're on it. So Clarity is what I use. It's a free Microsoft extension and it will show you how far down the page they're scrolling. Are there rage clicks? Are there dead clicks? Which I will say dead clicks sometimes like it'll show that, but usually what it is it's people scrolling on mobile and it's counting it as a click.
Right.
So that metric's a little skewed. But yeah, it'll show you like, maybe like your big old reveal story is at the bottom of your page and people are only going halfway down and then getting off. So like maybe look at the information that's at the top and be like, well, can I rearrange this to like really get, my story there, which is what will maybe help people convert. And all of these things add up to equally in your earnings per click, which is really, really important, right? So clicks is important. Are they getting to your page? Conversions important because like, are they interested enough to buy? Your earnings per click is what's really going to tell you, is the money I'm putting into this, if you are spending money on like ads and things like that, coming back and is it worth it? Because again, clicks by themselves, great, but don't really do a lot of good. But the earnings per click is the really important part. So if you're paying someone or a service 10 cents per click and you're making 30 cents per click, that's perfect. But if you're paying 10 cents per click and you're making, 0.003 per click, probably time to do something different.
Yeah, and it can be difficult doing that on your own, but at the same time, um, depending on where you want to put your money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to learn how to do that? Do you want to at least understand it, right? Maybe do a little research before you put money into buying somebody else to do it for you. Those kinds of things. And then the next thing you want to know is your traffic sources, right? So you're getting all these clicks, but where are they coming from? Are they coming from people in an area that aren't going to buy what you have? Are they coming from a demographic that's just not your people? Like maybe they're just clicking, right? And that's the thing you got to watch out with solo ads and stuff like that, where people are basically buying the clicks, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're getting all these clicks, but nothing's going to happen with it if it's the wrong traffic for you. If they're not coming from the right location or they're not coming from the right demographic or culturally it doesn't make sense for them to be in your sphere, right? Then
Yeah.
that traffic matters.
Yeah.
And also knowing where they're and when it is actually clicking, where are they coming from? Is it Facebook? Is it YouTube? Is it Instagram? Is it your blogs? Is it your website? You need to know that as well, because that's where you're going to want to start directing more focus. If this area is doing better than that area, why would you spend more money over here when this is the area that's doing better? Doesn't mean that you can't build out that, but maybe the bulk of your ad spend or your energy spend is going to the area where you're getting the best conversions, right?
Yeah, if you think your main traffic's coming from Facebook and it's actually YouTube, then, putting the links all over your Facebook's not going to do any good. You need to be putting them, doing more videos on your YouTube and putting the links there.
That's right. And then you can just repurpose and shunt them over to your Facebook. So it's not like you're forgetting about Facebook if that's a preferred platform, but it's a way to really know where your traction is actually coming from.
Yep. And then your bounce rates, or what Clarity would call it with your website, your quickbacks, where people go and then instantly like leave, is super important too, right? Because maybe you have a pop up on your website that's popping up too fast and it's putting people off. Maybe it's taking too long to load. Everyone wants to have the super like MySpacey, very, very complicated backgrounds. If those take more than 1.2 seconds to load, most people are going back. They're not we are not patient people anymore.
Nope.
And that is one of the main things about analytics is you do need to have a little bit of patience, because you're going to tweak something and let it sit for 3 to 4 days, and then you're going to tweak something else and let it sit for 3 to 4 days. So all this takes patience. And then your bounce rate as well. Like, are they giving you false information, right? Are they giving you bad email addresses? Are they, what's happening there? And that's again where solo ads and things like that like can really, really damage you, is if people are signing up for what you have, but then immediately like reporting you as spam, or blocking it, or whatever that might be, or giving you bad email addresses so they bounce. That's going to hurt your email analytics. So that's important. You're looking at those too. Your open rates, your bounces, make sure you're deleting people that bounce. Go High Level has an email authentication. So it makes sure that the email that was put in is real. And if it's not real, it'll just auto delete it for you, which is pretty awesome. But things like that are going to be super, super important. Or again, dead links, right? Like maybe one of your buttons isn't working. And so when they push it to sign up, it just goes to a error 404 page. Like all these things are things you need to know.
Yeah. And so, yeah, because you're putting all this work into there, right? You're putting all this energy, you're putting all this work. And even if you're doing it, even if you're not buying solo ads, or you're not ready to use the Facebook ads or Meta ads or Google ads or whatever, you're not ready to invest in that area. You're still putting a lot of time and energy, which is also expensive. I mean, as I always say, don't forget that your time has value, right? So if you're going to invest all that time and all that energy, it behooves you to make sure that you're also paying attention to the back end and how that's going for everything, because every little step along the way is going to have an effect. It's going to have an effect on your clicks. It's going to have an effect on your conversion rates. It's going to have an effect on your bounce rates and all of those things. And if you're speaking to the void, which we have on occasion, but like if you're really trying to sell, it's important that you're paying attention to those kinds of things. And then the lifetime value is another thing that we want to look at. It's your long-term earnings. Is it a one and done, right? Or are you looking for something that's going to have a longer shelf life? And this can play into having a subscription, but it also can play into if you just promote crap and you just promote anything, you're going to have a lot of one-offs, and then people will never come back because you've lied to them, or you've or you're, they can't trust you. So, building that trust is a big part of your metrics, right? And, so that you can have a repeat customer, even if they're buying different things from you. You want to try and maintain that longevity in a way that you can. So whether it's a subscription or a repeat customer for other things, right?
Yeah. Yep. And that's the power of having multiple products that are within the same area, right? So,
yeah.
So how do you interpret it? Well, obviously, like anything else, look for patterns, right? Humans are pattern-driven people, and you can see patterns in your content a lot. So, if you're posting at the same times, you're likely to see a pattern of which one does better, and then you can adjust accordingly. Again, looking at the pattern of high click rate but low conversion, like, okay, well, look at your call to action, look at your landing page, look at your ad copy. This is a huge one that people miss. Is like the ad copy might be really good, and it might get people to book a call or whatever it is. But if your ad copy doesn't match what your actual offer is, no one's going to buy, because it's going to be the wrong demographic, which is exactly what we talked about. And we've seen that happen in real life plenty of times. Is it steady on one platform but doesn't do well on another is another huge one, right? Like, again, if you're putting all of your energy into Facebook Reels, but your TikTok Reels are the ones that are skyrocketing views, put more energy into that, or at least make sure you're repurposing, because that's going to help out a lot. And then does traffic start to decline, right? Like every ad has a peak. So, or every video even, right? So like if you're getting really, really good traffic and you're pushing it, and then all of a sudden the traffic just starts to die, well, either your SEO is done or that message is exhausted. So, tweak the message a little bit and do a new one. But all of these things, recognizing those patterns, especially the longer you get into it, as soon as you start to see the decline, you already know what you need to do, and then you can keep a more steady pace instead of having your views do like this number,
Yeah.
and like that we see that on YouTube a lot too.
Yeah. And I mean, it all sounds a bit, stressful or whatever, but really it doesn't have to be. I mean, you start with your basics, like you say. You start with your clicks. You're seeing where your traffic's coming from, and is it going up? Is it going down? And make those small changes here and there, like but do them one at a time, and don't do them all at a time because yeah, that can be. Then you don't know what you fixed.
Yeah. There is nothing worse than changing 10 themes, having it skyrocket, and then going, but what caused it?
Yeah,
Right?
but what
So like,
happened?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you try to replicate it, it doesn't replicate, and you're like, I have no idea what to change. And yes, this is experience talking.
Haha.
'Cause I am not a
Yeah.
patient person.
Well, I mean, it's funny because my husband, he's playing a game where he's got to do something, and when you're upgrading something, it takes like 2 to 3 minutes, right? So
Mm-hmm.
he'll do a bunch of things at once, and then he's like, "Oh my god, it's taking forever," and I'm like, it's so funny because I'm like, 3 minutes isn't terrible. I'm sure it's longer than that. And it's like, it feels longer than that. I feel the same way when my coffee's brewing. It's like, why is it taking 18 hours to brew my coffee?
Yeah, 2 minutes in an ice bath the first time feels a lot longer than 2 minutes.
So there are some signs when it's time to pivot, right? So you're doing the things and whatnot. And your analytics are going to give you some information on when it's time to pivot. So either things have sort of reached a point and then they're stagnant, or things start going backwards, right? You start losing revenue, you start losing traffic, you stop, even though you're still giving it your all, things start sliding backwards. Another red flag would be like you've got lots of traffic but no engagement. So you've gotten, your vanity metrics says you have, you know, 2, 3, 4,000 views but zero engagement, right? Like they're looking at it, but they're not doing anything with it. That's a big one. And ad fatigue, like you said, if audiences stop responding to particular offers or they seeing too much of the same offers, so they're skipping it, right? They can
Mm-hmm.
actually on Facebook, you can straight up say this is repetitive. I don't want to see it anymore. Or like I said earlier, poor performance on on your niche or your product. Maybe it's time to pivot. Maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe it's the wrong product or the wrong audience or whatever, or it's just not good enough, right? It's just not something they want. So
Yeah. Yeah, ad fatigue is definitely a funny one because I remember seeing there was a particular affiliate course that's main adverts were like, "You've been lied to," and like, "You don't need to go to college," and and a lot of people were making those same kind of reels, right, to promote the course, like, "You've been lied to," and there was one. I don't remember if it was a response or a stitch or what I saw, but the guy was like, "I'm really tired of being told that I was lied to. Like, this is getting really old." And I was like, I mean, that's fair, right? If everybody's saying the same thing, then it's no longer a hook. It's just cliche. And so if you're
yeah,
promoting a program that other people are promoting, like, don't use the same verbiage they are.
yeah, and watch it too. Like, I mean, obviously you're, especially if in affiliate marketing, depending on what it is you're marketing, you're going to see a lot of people in your same field. Pay attention to what they're doing and don't do that. I mean, I'm not saying don't follow. There's certain things that you do follow when you're creating your content, but it's more about structure than it is about actual copying what someone else is doing in terms of the the technical, like the physical, what they're
Mm-hmm.
doing. It's the behind the stuff, scene stuff. Like the way your hooks and all those kinds of things, and the value that they're bringing, and the emotional quotient, and all of that. Yes, you want that formula, but you're not trying to repeat what somebody else did, because I know that, like, it was the same with the whole, pointing to all these different things, or, these different side hustles you can do, but this is the one that, like, after you see it so many times from so many different people, you just get, it's like it just registers in your mind as this is all bullshit,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
you got to make sure that it's, you try to be a little different. It's okay to be your own special snowflake. It's allowed. So
And the pointy ones can be fun, just don't make it the same message.
yeah, and don't, yeah, like, just have some fun with it. But again, if you're using the same verbiage, the same exact stuff, you're just going to blend in with everybody else. So
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
seeing it a lot right now. There must be a new wellness drink or something out because I've seen like 8 of the same post where it's like my sister was struggling with weight loss and now and it's like it's the same, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like it must be a new thing out.
Yeah.
So
I
just
mean, yeah, a lot of affiliate stuff will give you some done for you content, which is great. I mean, it does help, but take it, tweak it, and make it your own, right?
yeah,
I mean, the done for you is but more like a starting, it's your diving board. It's not the pool,
it's
right?
your blueprint, but or like
Yeah.
your outline, but not your finished product. So,
Yeah. So how do you pivot? You experiment with different products or niches or traffic sources, maybe like you said, like maybe you have to do it on Threads.
mhm.
Maybe you need to go to TikTok, or, yes, I know they're banning it, but whatever.
Yeah,
IG or whatever, maybe your blogs or however you're going to make that work, right?
yeah.
Refresh your content strategy, with you change up your SEO, go and do some research, see what's, the things that are grabbing people right now, and weave that into your content. And then, yeah, test new calls to action, your copy, all that kind of stuff. Do A/B tests, right?
Yep.
These are all things that are going to help you pivot what you're doing. And, if you're seeing that it's falling off, make those tweaks, make those changes, right? If things are starting to decline or have stuck, then maybe you need to change your platform. You need to change your SEO content or whatever. So,
Yeah. And then, so what are the tools for this, right? Well, Google Analytics, I have a love hate relationship with because Google Tag Manager has not been my friend. But Google Analytics, if you're going to run Google or YouTube ads, is a must, and it's really, really powerful. Most of your affiliate links are going to have an affiliate dashboard. So you can see how many clicks, how many conversions, all that kind of stuff. And like with some of them, it will show you what platform the clicks are coming from, which is super cool. You can do link trackers. So Build Redirects was one that I used to use quite a bit, where it would track where they're coming from. Bitly obviously tracks, Linktree tracks, like all these have their built-in trackers. And that's the thing, you don't need a fancy system, you don't need a fancy program. Like most of these platforms, programs, etc., have their own tracking built in.
yeah, and if you're
Um,
using a repurposer or a rescheduler, most of those will also have their own trackers and analytics, so you can see it all in one place if that's what you're going to be using. So yeah, you don't have to
yeah,
be like bouncing everywhere.
exactly. Yep. And then, check it routinely. So weekly reviews as you're starting is great. Once you have a ingredient list or a recipe that works, you can kind of back off a little bit from weekly and then start looking at kind of monthly and see, deep dive into like monthly trends and things like that. But when you're just starting, you definitely want to look at it weekly. I would say you don't want to look at it every day if it's like an ad theme, because you can get really obsessive with it. Yeah. And that's true of social media platforms as well. But I think with social media, it's a little bit easier to look and be like, oh, okay, well, this video did good. I posted it this time. This video kind of didn't. I posted it this time. And you can kind of like get an idea without getting super hyper focused. But yeah,
Depending
weekly
on who you
start.
are.
Yeah, exactly. I say that with a grain of salt because I do tend to get a little too far into the analytics. Um, what was I gonna say? Excel sheets, things like that, are a great way to track and really look for trends because it puts it all right there and makes it easy to pick out a pattern. But if Excel sheets are not your thing, I get it. Like, however, make notes, whatever it is to compare, and
Yep.
then your mindset is going to be a lot of it, right? So like if a reel doesn't do well, don't give up. Like that is the worst thing,
Yeah.
right? Oh, I got 5 views. I'm never posting another reel again. No, keep
And that
posting.
goes for if somebody says, talk some smack on your reels as well, right?
Oh yeah.
Don't Mindset is a tough one. I mean, it's a buzzword, but really how you think is going to be how you perceive. It's the filter by which everything comes into you. So if you're thinking I'm not going to be able to do this, or it's not going to get it, or it should, but I'm awesome, but why isn't it? Obviously, I made a mistake, or I'm terrible, blah 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 blah. That little negative Nelly nipping at the back of your brain there. Just try to dampen that voice a little bit and try to remember. And ways that you can do that is to get around people who are in your niche or in your business, who are also starting or in this around the same area that you are, maybe a little bit ahead of you, where you can just talk and commiserate and also get the support you need. Like, hey, no, that's awesome. You did a great job, especially when you're new. I mean,
Yeah.
you're always going to need this. I have yet to meet anybody or see anybody who's doing really well say that they don't have mentors, or they don't have their own accountability or fan club or whatever, that helps keep them uplifted and keep them motivated, because they all have falls. I mean, humanity is, we each have our own flaws and we have our ups and downs. So it's not like, you're alone on that island. You might feel like you are, but you're really not. So, utilize the groups that, for your affiliate marketing, right? If you're part of a particular product or whatever, they usually have a group. Utilize it. Go in there, get some support, get some help.
Yep. And remember, the algorithm doesn't care if the engagement is negative or positive when it comes to comments. They're just seeing that people are engaging. So respond, respond with class and dignity, I would say, typically. Unless like that is your personality. If you thrive in chaos and conflict, because there are people who absolutely are not happy unless they are causing conflict, be that person. That's fine. But
Mm-hmm.
again, you have to be prepared for like if that's how you start building, like that's gonna be your everyday. And so you're gonna have
Yeah.
conflict every day. There's a TikToker I follow who like power to her. She responds to all of these, sexist, misogynist things and the comments and whatnot. But it's got to be trying. Like I can't be that negative all the time. I can't deal with that all the time. So like I mad props for her. But keep that in mind is that the engagement you start to put out is the engagement you're probably going to get back. So if you're not looking for conflict, do not respond with conflict.
The other thing that is good to note is, again, because the algorithm is looking at engagement, if there's comments that you really don't like or you don't want to deal with, you can hide them versus delete them, and they are still count towards your engagement without it being in the face of everybody else. So, you can keep it as is, like, thanks for the engagement, hide, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's allowed too.
Yep.
You don't have to put up with other people's crap. So,
Yep. I got my own BS. I don't need anybody else's.
that's right. My pile's big enough, dang it.
Right. But that is pretty much it. I would say a mindset is an issue for you. Donna has some really, really exciting things coming out around mindset that I don't know if she was willing to talk about or not, but I'm going to plug it because she's my girl and I want to see her succeed. So if you're having issues of mindset, absolutely reach out to her.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would be happy to talk with you and see what we can do to give you a little boost, because that's
Yes.
my jam.
Yes. And then
So
next
next week,
week,
we
we're
are
going
going
to
to
talk
talk
about
about
something that is more her jam. So I'm going to stop
oh,
interrupting her and let her say it.
the role of customer service in affiliate marketing. All right. So it's all about helping, it's all about, being there for people. And, that helps build your trust and all that sort of stuff, and how it can boost your conversions. Because, I mean, let's face it, you go and check your reviews, and if they say customer service was awesome, you're like, okay, well, that just made me more want to, especially in this day and age where it feels like that is starting to disappear, right? I feel like it's starting to make a comeback though, because we went one way and I think we're starting to come back the other way because, yeah, people
I
are
think
tired of it.
customers have a lot of responsibility to take for customer service failing, but
Oh,
that's
yeah,
just my opinion.
absolutely. But I mean, we used to have a really good customer service. Then we went to not bad. Then we went to almost non existent. So that when people do, by the time they do get to a customer service person, they're irate. And then we also have the entitled section of people who feel like they can treat other people like crap. And you don't have to do that. So we're going to talk about not only how your customer service is really beneficial to your customers, but also the fact that you don't have to take crap, right? If you found this helpful, please drop a comment, share, and hit that subscribe button. Your feedback is super helpful in growing this channel.
And of course, if you have any questions or if there's any specific thing that you would like us to talk about, drop that in the comments too. Happy Friday!
Happy Friday, everyone.